Three, two. What's up, people, and welcome to the book club with one mother, three sisters, and a whole lot of hot takes. This is the family plot. I'm Angel, the host and the heart of the crew. Unfortunately, our resident conspiracy theorist, my baby sister Cam, cannot join us tonight, but we have our mama Lisa, the matriarch and occasional voice of reason. Say, hey, mom.
Hey, Mom.
And we are joined by Glenna, my sister-in-law with the insightful takes. Say, hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
So here's how we get down every month. We discuss a book of our choosing, and every week I'll share a brief summary of the chapters we've read, and then we each pick a discussion question to answer. We'll also share our first impressions, predictions, and whatever else comes up along the way. If any of that interests you, pull up a chair, pour some tea, get cozy as we get into the finale of this month's book right here on the family plot, where every chapter digs deep. Y'all, I'm so glad we finishing this book this week. My God, on today, tomorrow, and forevermore. We made it through, y'all. We made it through.
We made it. We made it through. We made it. We made it through. Okay, sorry.
Yes, we did. We made it through, girl. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the shenanigans. All right, let's get on into these slides. If I can view the slideshow, Jesus. If I can view, here we go. Chapter 24 to the very end. So, in this section, Emilia reunites with Claudia and learns the only way to break Wrath's curse is by sacrificing her magic. Wrath reluctantly carries out the ritual, restoring his wings and freeing them both to love without restraint. Afterwards, Emilia and Wrath strengthen their bond and plan her coronation, where major truths are revealed. Vesta's alive, Greed's deceit is exposed, and Vittoria is cleared of blame. Emilia is crowned Queen of House Wrath, earning the respect of the demon princes. Following the coronation, she reconciles with Vittoria and finds peace in her choices. And in the end, Wrath and Emilia complete their marriage bond, and Wrath restores her magic, symbolizing true partnership and shared power. All right. First impressions. Who want to go first? Glenna, take it away, ma'am.
I'm just gonna say that while I'm happy with a lot of the resolutions that occurred, the one plot point that I don't like how it resolved was the Claudia Lucia plot. I think, the time limit gave it a time limit, and I can understand that. But I still think, first off, Pride had a right to know. And I'm not saying that they can't in future have, told him, because, we're only seeing the beginning of their lives together. But I still think that, it got brushed over. And, it was very much okay, we've learned all of this, but we're not going to use any of it. I get that she gave her the memory crystal, and I get that she has every right to know what she's lost and learning that out of her own accord, but it doesn't track with everything else. It's kind of like, instead of that being a major plot point where it seemed like it really truly was, it seemed like it was just brushed aside. And I think, we spent some chapters at this very end of the book that were kind of superfluous to needs. And I think we could have spent a chapter delving into this, or maybe, the witches had talked, she'd let slip that the witches had reversed the block on one of the lady whose brain was blocked at the beginning. They'd unblocked her memory. That could have been fleshed out a little bit. And I think that was kind of just glossed over. I think putting an hour time strain on it, and I think putting they've only got 24 hours to fix all of this, gave the author excuse not to touch on things that they really should have fleshed out a little more. If they'd given it, it was 6 years, 6 months, and 6 days. Why couldn't it have been the 6 days that were left? That would have given them enough time to flesh out the deal with Claudia. That would have given them time to expound on the half-hearted throwing out of the, oh, we reversed her mind block. You know, we've blocked Claudia's powers, we've reversed the mind block on another witch, but we're not going to touch on any of that. So that was disappointing for me. Otherwise, all of the rest of it, I was thrilled with how it turned out. I mean, I figured when they were discussing the you know, I didn't believe Vesta was dead. You know, the little breadcrumbs coming through that were very clear that she wasn't. And I think Greed knew that. And I think that, you know, it was very clear that they were foreshadowing when they were talking about the emotional liability kind of situation of being in the presence of the wolf and things like that, in the memory, and then her remembering the wolf that made her feel calm while she was being held. You know, it gave clear credence to that she was still alive. So that I think was handled beautifully, and I like her. Yeah, I'm alive. Can I go now? was
Hey,
was kind of epic. I liked that. But you know, I was really thrilled with how it ended overall. I like the poetic justice of her, you know, giving away her power and then gaining it again in shared, you know, consent with her husband. I really liked that. Overall, I liked how it ended. There was just several things that weren't fleshed out that I really would have liked to have seen fleshed out. And with that, I yield.
thank you for that, Glenna. I agree. It feels like any one of these paragraphs or chapters filled with an unnecessary sex scene could have been used to flesh out what was going on with Claudia. Although I don't think I necessarily agree that Pride had a right to know, because Claudia did make it very clear to Cersei that she didn't want any memory of that place. But I was happy that Emilia gave her the option to go back on it. Whether or not she gonna do it or not, I don't know. That's kind of up to her. But I understand why Emilia even gave her the option in the first place. It's like she felt bad for Pride. Like, dang, like everybody lost something and y'all lost wives because of this charade that Cersei had going on. I don't like that for you. But yeah, what else did you say? Yes, I also agree. Greed definitely knew Vesta was still alive. I think he just tried to use that as a reason to, you know, be able to attack Victoria scot-free. Because he greedy. That's his sin. Yeah, that's I think that's for the most part. Oh, you have a hand raised. Go ahead.
I didn't mean necessarily that he had every right to know like every detail, that, you know, where she was and what happened and all of that. I meant more along the lines of he had the right to know she was still alive.
Gotcha.
The rest of it could have been cowed with, she made a choice. You need to respect that choice. And she has the right to revert that choice if she chooses. But he's been searching for her. And while not necessarily giving her placement or where she is away, she could have respected that boundary, but still given him the, I guess, closure that she was actually alive and well.
I could see that. If we were not talking about a Prince of Hell, I would definitely go forward with that. But since there are so many things that, like, as we've seen through all three books, every single decision that has been made affects everybody else somehow, some way. I don't know if even just letting him know that she was alive would not have elicited some sort of rift or war between his circle and Raph's circle, because now he got reason to be upset with you. You ain't gonna tell me where my wife is? Well, I'm gonna do this to you, you know, and unleash something else, and then it just becomes a whole thing. But yeah, if they were human, and emotionally intelligent beings, I'm right there with you, Glenda. I'm right there with you. So, Mom, anything to add or questions on this before we get into these questions?
As I agree with y'all, let me say, because I too was questioning some things. Like, I do appreciate how her sacrifice allowed her to gain what she had lost. But I also was questioning. The one thing I didn't question that Glenna didn't like was the fact that she it took her memory, and even though they gave her the option, they didn't tell him. My thing is, on that one, I'm a little perturbed at the fact that you got Princes of Hell, witches, all this other stuff. Now, they took her memory. Nowhere in there did they say they changed her physical appearance. So how in the heck, when Wrath up here walking around in the shifting aisles, that he didn't see her? Or if people, you got here looking for her, I'm pretty sure she looked the same, even though her memory was shot. Nowhere in there did they say they changed her physical appearance. So she should have still physically appeared the same. And I know everybody got a twin out there in the world, but come on, couldn't nobody see this chick and know this was his woman? That was just me. That was a thing I thought about, because I was like, okay, yeah,
Mom,
they did all that.
if I could speak to that, I think it's because even if they had known, they were bound to not say anything magically. Like, there were some things they just couldn't talk about. That's why I was so pissed off in the second book, because I'm like, everybody got secrets and nobody's saying nothing.
No, but that was the thing. Raph said he was helping his brother look for his wife or his woman or whatever. But Claudia's, nowhere in there did it say Claudia's appearance had changed, just her memory.
But she never came in contact with them.
Yeah, Claudia never came in contact with Raph.
I know, and that's what I thought was ironic, is that the whole while he was up there in the shifting aisles and walking around, they never crossed paths, and he never saw her, and that's what threw me off. I'm like, wait a minute, because he been up here hanging out in the shifting aisles for a minute. She been walking this boy around, doing all of this. Yeah, how is it that he just never came across her? And this is a significant person in her, in her life. That was one of the things that perturbed me, because I mean, it to me, had there been a moment where she was like, I gotta go see my cousin or my friend or whatever, and you know, even if she's like, just wait over here, I'll be a second, he would have seen her and would have known.
Very true. But with the exception of Antonio, Emilia wasn't bumping into people in her regular circle as Emilia, and not the goddess that she is. She definitely wasn't like bringing him home to Nona and introducing him. It just so happened caught them together. So
yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
but that was just one of the things that I was like, oh really? So you took a memory, but you didn't take her, you know. And I appreciate her not wanting to go back. I really do appreciate that, because there was a point, I don't remember if it was in the first book or the second book, where she was, you know, she was hearing voices and her mind was all befuddled and confused, and she remembered experiencing her mother, I think it was, having or somebody close to her having that same challenge, and they cast her away. So I could understand that when she finds out there was an alternative life, and she be like, I got enough shit going on in this one right here. I don't need no extras. So I understand that, although I was hopeful toward the end that she would come to the knowledge of, and then I was thinking, like you, I was saying, poor Greed, he ain't gonna get to know. But oh well, as hell. And you in hell. All right, there we go. Keep moving. I did like though how Vesta was like, Yeah, I'm here. Can we go now? That was when I tell you the girl is so unbothered. Look, I'm back home. My daddy sacrificed for me to get the hell up out of here. I'm out. See you. You know, I really like that. That tickled me. It reminds me of my kids. It's like, okay, we here. Can we do this? Okay, now what? All right, bye. We're done. It was so direct to the point. Okay, question answered. Let's move on. And I really took that tickled the heck out of me. Yeah, I was really over that one chapter where there was nothing but sex. I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking a little too much. Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry. Forgive me, Lord. I mean, it's one thing to have relations with your spouse, but do we have to do it at every momentous event? And yes, I get you newlyweds, and y'all really in that phase. Y'all, when I tell you honeymoon phase, yes, true honeymoon phase. Midst of a crisis, we got to get some in. Just battle some demons, got to get it in. Just got unshackled from jail, oh, got to get some in. Is there any reason that y'all can't get none in? I'm just saying. Oh, we just had dinner. Oh, that was good, but let's get some in. Come on now.
Oop, I gotta stab you with the blood of rumination. Gotta get it in.
Gotta get it in. I was like, baby, rabbits don't do it that often. But okay, like I said, if you was horny when you started this book, you wasn't when you got through, because you came and went just like they did. I mean, they did too much details. And I for one love great detail. But I was like, it's overrated. We know y'all getting it in. We know y'all newlyweds, but can we finish the plot first? That was just me. But anyway, and with that, I yield.
Thank you, Bob. I agree with so much of that. My first impressions, I definitely was not surprised that Domenico Sr. Is the body who was found in place of Vestas.
I told y'all that was one of my predictions.
You called it. I was surprised though that she's actually Marcella, aka Domenico Jr.'s sister. So that was a nice revelation to have.
That was a good twist.
I was a little confused towards the end after the coronation ceremony at the after party where this reporter came up to talk to, I think it was Gluttony, one of them brothers. I don't remember which one, but I just like, why are we introducing new characters so late in the game? What does reporter got to do with anything? But at the same time, I'm just like, okay, well, maybe this is going to be important in the next couple. No, it wasn't important at all. The character did not have any place at the coronation after party at all. What else? The conversation, or better yet, the ceremony. First of all, they got a lot of ceremonies. They got to prick their fingers in blood to accept or respect the coronation. And then at the very end of that chapter, it was something about, well, are you ready to officially become the co-owner of House Wrath? I'm like, ain't that what she just did as becoming queen? No, it's something else. It's something else she got to do? Okay, fine. So there's another blood ritual with that. So she pricking her finger now. And then at the end of the very next chapter was, are we ready to complete the bond? Well, didn't we just do that at the coronation? No, we not completed yet. So you just queen and you ain't bonded. All right. As many times as y'all have had sex, y'all ain't considered bonded.
That's what I couldn't figure out.
Like, I mean, I really wish Cam was here to further explain if there's something I'm missing about demon lore and what bonds and things are required. But then also, this is a made-up world. I don't know what the protocols and procedures are. I just know it's a lot of them. Because it feels like when you go buy a car and they say, okay, you bought your car. Now you got to pay for the insurance. Now you got to pay for the license plates. Now you got to do the... Really? When am I done? When are we finished? That's what it felt like. But overall, the entire latter half of this book definitely tied up some loose ends, but it still feels very much as if the author was just on the hook contractually to write 3 books and just fulfill this quota, and now she got to throw in details, prolong the plot, make so many pages worth of information, that filler stuff that you do for essays in college. That's what this book felt like, especially towards the end. So I'm glad we're done. but yeah. Oh, the wings. I almost forgot that the devil was a fallen angel until the wings came back. And then I was just really annoyed at how mystified Amelia was looking at these wings. Because I'm like, girl, you'd have known for at least a book and a half now that your husband had wings at some point. But maybe the descriptions weren't doing it justice for me. If I saw a heavenly being's wings, I probably would have also been like, oh, but who knows? And I kind of felt like there was no way we were going to end this book without her having her power in some way. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. But I'm glad that Wrath had, came to save the day and share that autonomy and share his power with her. And because how the heck you going to be queen of the underworld? You ain't got no power. It just didn't make sense to me. So, yes, mother, I see hand raised.
I felt like that was the reason even though I agree they did too many rituals, I felt like that was the reason they had to be bonded. Because as a married couple, when two are joined, they become one. And it just felt like as ruler, I think their powers would have been more intense had she not had to sacrifice her own. But like he said, I have so much power, I have enough to share with you. So she in turn, in essence, had probably the same powers that he had, but had she not lost her powers, their stuff would have multiplied. And I think part of that rumination process was, like you say, it was giving her powers to him. And once they completely bonded, he was able to restore her. So in essence, she just gained what she had lost with a little flair on the edge, because he make things cold, she make things hot. So
like the story of Job when he brought it all back, double fold.
So she got double for the trouble. And even though he didn't want to stab her, his whole process of stabbing her and allowing her to lose her powers is what not only increased his powers but restored her as well. So, and but Glenna had a question. Go ahead.
Not so much a question, more of a perspective. Because about all the different, rituals and things of that nature. I think you need to kind of look at it as the blood bond in the original book is more of kind of an account at the beginning of a formal courtship kind of situation. The bonding at the very end was their marriage. Coronation was a coronation. So they're completely different scenarios. So being married to somebody doesn't make you the crowned ruler of that. You're simply a consort until you're crowned. So the coronation making her queen is what made her queen. Mm-hmm. The marriage ceremony making her the princess of Wrath's domain was their marriage, making her the consort of that land. So I get that there was a lot of ritual. I get that they kept having to bleed all over themselves. But they're distinct rituals for distinct purposes.
Thank you. That helps so much because I guess I'm still in human world thinking of this. When you marry somebody, you are automatically bonded to share domain over finances and your home, all those things. It never dawned on me that because you are a queen, you are not also bonded to this man maritally.
Except you're thinking of normal, everyday, everybody's lives.
Right.
These are royals. The royal world is different. Even in standard royalty, you can be someone's consort without being their. Let's take the current British royalty.
Mhm.
When King Charles took the throne, he had every right to simply make his wife consort, not queen consort, but just consort. He chose to make her queen consort, and he chose to have her crowned right beside him. So she was his crowned consort. At least I think that's how it works. But in essence, he had a right to not give her that title if he chose not to. And that's, I believe, actually happened in the past in the British royal family.
That's gotta be so embarrassing. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, in essence, that particular woman was kind of, banished from the country for a while. So
My goodness, to
been
be
tried for treason, if I remember correctly.
ah wow, just I cannot fathom. Like, yeah, I'm his woman, but I ain't got no power. No.
Yeah, you can come. I can come and screw you, but you can't. You can't be queen. I
Like,
can get my
what?
goodies off. I can get my goodies, but you can't. Yeah, you don't have no title.
Glorified side chick with a crown? What?
Okay, glorified
It's-
side chick without a crown. Okay,
That
It's
part.
called power. Some people share it, some people don't.
Well, I'm glad that Wrath is such a man to share his power. We love a king who loves his queen. Amen. We live for men who love their wives. So,
amen and amen.
and with that, we gonna get into these questions, y'all. Good Lord, if I could find here we go. I ain't got that fancy of titles, but here we go. Restoration, finding balance, the coronation, and never gonna give you up.
Never gonna let you down.
You
Never
had to
gonna
go there.
run around
did.
and she
I did.
started it. She started it.
All right. Mother, why don't you pick first?
Never gonna give you up.
How did
Never
I-
gonna let you down. Okay, sorry.
Emilia sacrifices her magic to break Wrath's curse. Do you think this act represents love, bravery, or loss of self?
A little bit of all of that. I mean, because let's call it what it is. You had to lose a piece of yourself in order to break his curse. And you want to break his curse because not only do you love him, but you want him to be able to freely love you in return. So yeah, you lost a little bit of yourself and you did it for the sake of love. You did it because you love him. But then that has to be a brave thing to be able to sacrifice a part of you for someone else. Because we can say a lot of stuff, but the proof is in the action. On any case, yeah, I can tell you I love you 10 times a day, all day long, but the actions, are you really showing it? Because let's be real, she wanted. Now you could say it was selfish because she wanted him to love her back, but she also recognized in all of this, excuse me, that he was taking the serum so that he would not lose her, because so he would not show emotion because he did not want to lose her. And she realized that he's not free to love me because his curse says whatever he loves, he will lose. And clearly he didn't want to lose her because he kept taking this serum so he would not be able to express his true love for her because he didn't want to lose her. And so she recognizes to free him, she had to lose a piece of herself. And she did it initially because she loved him, which is, and like I said, in essence, a very brave thing to do, because to sacrifice, sacrifice yourself for anybody is brave. Some people say it's selfless. I believe that it can be in many cases, but it's still a brave act to sacrifice yourself. This is like running into a burning building to save a stranger. That's a selfless act, but it's also a brave act. Whether or not you run into a building to save your child or your parent, it's still a brave act, because you know you're doing so at risking your life as well. And this is in essence what she did. And with that, I yield.
Thank you for that, Mother. Glenna, any input, output, comments, concerns, questions? Nope. All right. All right, Glenna, pick your question of the evening.
Restoration.
Restoration. Wrath restores Amelia's magic at the end, saying, "What's mine is yours." How does this moment redefine their relationship and that idea of shared power?
I think it furthers their relationship. I don't necessarily think it redefines their relationship, because I think they went into this as, once she gave up her power and he was free to love her, they went into that section as essentially equals. He's like, I will do whatever I can for you, and you've obviously done everything you could possibly do for me. And so I think that's why he wanted to immediately make her his queen without a second thought, is that, you are my equal, you stand beside me. He broke his crown in half, all of the symbolism in that. And I think it didn't redefine their relationship at all when he gave her his magic. I think he simply did what he's done since he showed who he truly was to her. I think he's just existing in their love, and that this is who I am, this is who you are. I would do anything for you. You've obviously done anything for me. And this was just a furthering of that. So I think it was more of an expression of their true relationship, not a redefining of their true relationship. And I like how the power that was his truly was always kind of part hers, because she said the magic that he gave her, didn't feel different. It felt like it was hers all along. And I think that says a lot about their compatibility and who they are and who they will be going forward. And I really like that for them. Because despite the fact that, they're standing in hell, they have the best intentions towards one another. And I think that's beautiful. And with that, I yield.
Could not agree more. It really is beautiful. I hate that they still have, well, they didn't necessarily say that there's like some impending doom coming from the Star Witches or the vampires or whatever, but the fact that there maybe could have been something else to worry about is not something I enjoy for them, but I'm glad that they have each other, and I'm glad that they have shared power, so that if some don't go down, they ready.
I think that those risks have been there in the past and will continue to be there going forward. And I think that just became their new normal. I don't think that, I think the Star Witches have always been a problem, and they're going to continue to be a problem. And the vampires have always been a problem, and they're going to continue to be a problem. I think the only thing that was a continued problem that will probably be less so because he married Amelia is going to be Victoria. I think she's going to be less of an issue going forward now that her sister's fully back.
You know, and speaking of which, I got all mushy inside when she mouthed "I love you" in support of her union and pricked her finger like the rest of the brothers and shared in the ceremony. I was just like, oh, sister love. I miss my sister.
I thought that was really in good taste as well, considering all that they had been going through, and
Well,
just for her to tell her she wanted her to be happy.
and even though
So,
she didn't fully agree or understand it either, because that
right.
conversation came afterwards, but I just thought
Yeah,
that was so, yay, sisters.
Well,
I like
it
that as well.
proves the thing with siblings. You can scream at each other all you want, but you're there for each other when you need to be.
True
That's
family
it.
dynamic.
That is it right there. Yes, ma'am. That's all I had on that one. Mom, do you have anything to add? No? Okay.
No, like I said, it's truly a true family dynamic, and that I think the fact that she did go through the ceremony and the ritual and restored her house as a co-partner in her house, and then part of Raz's house as well. The brothers will have a different level of respect for her because, like you say, she's not just a consort. And I really appreciated seeing all the siblings unite and honor that bond of marriage. Now, whether they continue to respect it or not, that's neither here nor there. But I think now that they know they don't just have to contend with Raph, they got to deal with his wife too. It'll be a different level of dynamic there. And I love how she kept her friend and be like, girl, we're going to get together when it's over. We got to chat. So despite the fact that she was, crowned queen, she's like, I still have this other side of me. And I love the fact that having that human heart actually played a big impact on her decision making in terms of how she's viewing and looking at people. Same thing with her sister. Her sister was clearly demonic the whole time, but in the very end, she showed that human side of her when she accepted her sister's desire to bond with Wrath, and I thought that was really sweet as well. And with that, I yield.
All right, ladies. So my question of the evening, I'm going to pick the coronation. The coronation scene exposes truth, betrayal, and redemption. Which revelation surprised you the most and why? I think I was most surprised. I think I said this earlier. I was most surprised that Vesta, aka Marcella, and Domenico Jr. were siblings. I did not see that coming. I also did not really recall Vesta's presence when Emilia was captured, but it makes sense that that she would be there because Daddy done sacrificed so she can escape Greek circle, and she down there with the family and Domenico and the family. So it makes sense that she would be around. But of course, for Emilia to know that at the time just wouldn't have made sense. So that was one revelation I enjoyed seeing finally resolved. Because at the beginning of this book, I'm like, okay, somebody dead. Why does this matter? Well, it matters because that's that boy's sister. Okay. Ends being tied up. Love that. Really enjoyed the spirit with which Emilia called all this shit out, like right in the middle of the coronation, just saying, you ain't got no reason to be upset with my sister. You ain't got no reason to try to get this blood retribution for no murder because ain't no murder happened. And this is what the real thing is. And it very much gives I don't know if you guys watch it, but Toni Braxton and her sisters have a reality show, and the youngest sister is the one who frequently calls out the family's BS and nonsense and has been ostracized for it. And that is the spirit in which Amelia had at this coronation. Case in point, this just this past week, the younger sister on this reality show was confronting an older sister, and that sister was like, well, no, I ain't been to your house or whatever. She was like, no, I know where you live though, because I made the down payment. Just put it all out there on national television. Right? And that is the spirit with which our Amelia operated in this chapter. Like, ain't no murder. She live. She's packed. Bet you didn't know that, or you didn't know that I knew that. Yeah, because you had her when she was cub. I knew that you kidnapped her from her daddy. You made a deal trying to get the wolves to be on your side. You mad at my sister because my sister got the wolves on her side. And then you trying to find a reason to kill my sister. Well, the retribution's lifted. How you like that? Now, of course,
Go ahead, Tamar.
Now, Amelia didn't say it with all that pizzazz and flair, but that's the energy with which she was coming in. So
I was gonna say she might as well have, because that is the energy.
She definitely exposed some truths, as Tamar Braxton tend to do. Greed, understandably so, felt his pride, little hurt, little betrayal, because Vesta over here betraying him, leave him, go back with a family, even though I raised that girl, and Amelia shut all that down. Because you kidnapped the girl at the end of the day. Yes, mother, you got a question?
No, I just got a statement. But that just goes to show at the end of the day who she is as queen. So when you get through talking, let me check you and put you in your place.
Because this is and
right.
Receipts.
Here are the receipts, because you out of order. We know you did XYZ and you did ... Regardless of the fact that you raised her, you made her your second, you ain't really her people over here. So when you get done, and so and literally very much in that Tamar spirit, let's get this stuff clear. Let's put the stuff on the table. Yeah, you don't have no retribution because she ain't dead. Because your retribution was for her death. She ain't dead. Here she is right here. Say hi. Hi. Okay. Yeah, and so I love that even at the coronation, she got to show I'm the queen. Pay attention. Pay attention. So now that you know who I am, I'm not just his bed buddy, I'm his equal. Stuff is in order. Stand down. Because you get no props here. And we're gonna finish on next. That's what I loved about it. Because like I said,
I love every minute of it, honestly, because
true fame,
like you thought you was about to just make this accusation and without any facts or backup, we was just gonna accept it and then have reason to go after my sister. No, sir. No, that's not how we roll down here in these 7 circles plus one.
And I think the fact that she did it like that lets them know you're going to have to be very careful when you come to the forefront of me or Wrath. You better come right, because you will get fact checked. Even though Wrath is quick to freeze stuff over, she quick to burn it down. So you either gonna get frozen or you're gonna get burnt. So I need you to come in here right, or your ass is grass on one end or the other. You either frozen or melted. Which one you want?
Side note, speaking of frozen things, I was also surprised that Cersei's frozen body was given over to Pride. I don't know why. I just did not expect them to do that. I just feel like that's cause for a whole war breaking out. Whenever she thaws out like a piece of meat, it's just gonna be literally hell to pay in hell whenever she, But then I don't know. Maybe Pride will just keep her frozen in his own dungeon. Maybe it was just justice that he got to take his mother-in-law to be in his dungeon because you the reason that I ain't got no wife right now. Justice being served, I guess, in the weirdest way. But yeah, the one that surprised me most was finding out Vesta's relevance, like why her existence was relevant to this whole story. And with that, I yield.
The only thing I have to add that I loved, sorry, Lisa,
Mhm.
go ahead. You actually raised your hand. I didn't.
Go ahead, Glenna. I was drinking.
Okay. Was that when she was doing the kind of putting Greed in his place, it's like she shared a look with Wrath, and Wrath just went, "This is your show. Have fun."
It's something your brother would do.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, it's every bit of her brother. Every bit. Because he just give Angel that look like, keep going.
As a matter of fact, your brother actually did do that very thing when I purchased my vehicle up here. Because I had the VIN number of the vehicle I wanted. I got there to the place and the man showed me something that looked very similar, but I was like, these numbers don't seem right. Are you sure this is the same vehicle I asked you about? Because the VIN numbers don't match. And then the man looked at Garth and Garth looked at me. I said, well, can we run the numbers for the vehicle I asked about?
And he just was like she said,
Hello.
hello. I love it. I'm here for it.
Child.
I love it. I know. I was going to say in regards to Cersei, I think it's very much justified that they gave her over. Simply because, like you said, she is the reason because of what she didn't want. Not for her daughter's happiness, but because she didn't want it. She ruined not just his life, but Wrath's life. Because let's call it what it is. Why the hell Wrath got to get cursed? Because you mad at his brother.
I'm still yet to see an answer for why is he in it?
That's the whole level of foolishness. So, like I said, if he wanted to keep her frozen to the end of time or torture her or whatever the case may be, I feel like, even though torture is not a good thing, but I feel like he is somewhat justified because he took away his love. And she did so not because he was abusive. I mean, yeah, he had a whole reputation, but he really cared for her. He cared for her daughter and he loved her. And you did that because you didn't want your daughter down there, not because you didn't even consider her feelings when you did what you did. But on top of that, yeah, and you curse this man to be doomed to hell in terms of love just because you mad at the brother. Now, and that's what I didn't get. So why didn't you curse him? Because he the one that your daughter was in love with. Why you got to curse his brother?
Nah, we just flinging curses all willy-nilly, you know.
Yeah, and then she ruined his life. And then in order for you to unlock, and see, she had a lot of things going on because in order for him to break the curse, he would have to stab somebody, get their powers. And so that means somebody else outside of him had to lose their abilities in order for him to break his lock. And then it had to be done under the premise that your daughter, whose memory y'all snatch, activate the dang blade that's kept under the floor and don't nobody know. Come on now. That's a whole hell of a lot of steps to go through because you mad that your daughter loves somebody. Yeah. He deserved to hold on to her for a minute. He deserved to hold on. And I'm so glad he gave her over. He can be like, do what you want to do, bro. Get out of my house. I don't want to be bothered. I got my stuff back. I ain't fooling with him. And I think the fact that he's over there, if anything was to happen over there, I'm pretty sure he'll let her know. I'm letting her thaw out or whatever, but I'd had that conversation up front. Look here. You gonna let this chick loose? Let me know ahead of time. I need to make sure my stuff.
I get home from work. Make sure you take that witch out of the fridge and thaw her out for dinner.
You silly. You so silly. But yeah, now my thing is before you thaw that witch out, let me know.
I'm sorry, y'all.
But yeah, with that, I was really outdone at the fact that she did so much damage. The damage she did in order to reverse it will cause so much trauma to other folk. I just, yeah, you did a whole lot of unnecessary stuff just because you was mad. And yeah, she needs to be kept frozen. And with that, I yield.
It goes to show, like, when people's anger is unchecked, it's no telling what kind of petty foolery they'll do. I saw something on like a clip from an old show called Catfish, and this lady, because she was upset with her friend for calling her Fat Kelly Price, she was getting a whole man to be this man's boyfriend for 3 years because they was texting each other over the phone. And when the show caught her, she was like, "Well, you shouldn't have called me a Fat Kelly Price. That's life. You got to deal with it." So you so petty. You waited 3 years to impersonate a boyfriend of this. I was through. But yes, when people are angry, it's no telling to what depths of petty they'll go.
Like you say, unchecked anger.
Unchecked anger. Glenda, you had something else to add, or am I imagining a hand raised?
No, the one thing it wasn't just Wrath that was cursed with the curse. They'd mentioned all of them had been cursed in some respect.
Mm-hmm.
Pride was prevented from leaving the realm. Wrath was
That's
prevented
right.
from seeing his love. Envy was prevented from having some access to some power, but he wouldn't mention what. And the others had never talked about it, but every single prince of hell was affected by the curse.
You're
So when
right.
she broke the curse with Wrath, she broke the curse with all of them.
Mm.
So
You're right. I forgot about that part. But again, why did you have to go to that extreme? Because you mad that your
because
daughter
she's
fell in
extra.
love. Yeah. Yeah. So you damaged a lot of people because you can't get what you want. Unchecked, spoiled anger.
Is this not what we're currently seeing with our administration?
Girl, let's not get started.
Countless people are being hurt and affected by, the actions of one irrational and angry person.
Tons of cultural groups, racial groups. Yeah, the demographics are endless right now as to who's being ostracized and um
And unfortunately, I think a
in
lot
some
more people
cases,
are going to get hurt. But that's neither
yeah,
here nor there. The
yeah.
last and final question of the night, we can all answer this one, is finding balance. And so, after being restored as queen, Amelia finds balance between fury and compassion. How has her understanding of power evolved throughout the story? I don't know who went first last time. Who want to go first on this one?
I will, like I said, the fact that she maintained her mortal heart for so long gave her this balance that we're talking about in here, this level of compassion. Because we knew she had fury. That's the whole reason she set out to find her sister's killer. And it kind of and the sister utilized the fact that she was fury to do something that would cause her to rekindle who she was. But because she maintained that human heart for such a long time, she almost in essence was forced to tap into those human emotions, which and compassion being one of them. She felt a level of compassion on multiple levels for multiple peoples in multiple scenarios. And I think that in itself allows her to be a more powerful ruler. Um, it's one thing to be able to be the ruler over something. It's how you show compassion for your constituents that marks a truly good leader versus a tyrant. So in this case, and I really appreciate the fact that Wrath took time to teach her about honing in her emotions as well, because that played a good part in it as well. But she's really maintained a good balance here and understanding her power. I think the fact that she was human for such a long period of time helped her balance these emotions throughout this story. So I think I mean, in essence really has it. She had to balance love and hate, fury and rage, compassion and empathy. All of those things played out throughout the course of these 3 books. And the things she didn't have under wraps, Wrath helped her manage them and control them, so that now that she is queen, she's able to recognize when, where, and how to use all of those things. And that's the true mark of balance. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Mother. Glenna, your thoughts?
There's not a whole lot to add to what your mom said.
Right? Like, you really just took it around.
But I do think that while devastating as the situation was, and definitely was done under the wrong intentions and the wrong way, I agree that I think her life as a mortal for the period of time that she was ultimately benefited her. But it was an unfortunate situation, because I think based on the snippets we get from what was happening as her and Wrath fell in love the first time, I think she would have gotten there eventually, but it might have been a longer road. And this kind of just shocked her system into that level of compassion. And I think she will hold a nice balance, definitely, with her life going forward. She kind of already shows that in her helpfulness and occasional derision towards his brothers in turn, but only based on their actions, not based on who they are. Like, she basically waits for them to be who they're going to be and then acts accordingly. And even Envy, who tries to use her at the beginning, ultimately turns to respect her and starts treating her, as he jokingly said, a friend towards the end. So I think it'll make her a stronger queen. And I think there'll be a lot of differences in how their rule goes forward, because I think he'll emulate her to some degree, but with the edge of danger that he possesses. So, and with that, I yield.
Yes, indeed. Y'all pretty much said it all. If I could add anything, it would be that from one, I do agree. I think her having been human does give her a more informed view of what her subordinates may or may not be feeling or going through. It just kind of reminds me of what we're taught in church about the divinity of Christ and how he came to become human because he was already in God form. And in his humanness, because he has experienced all the emotions and all the pain that regular humans have, we can rest assured that he has an understanding for our plight being on this planet. And I think if you have that vulnerability, that transparency as a leader, people are going to be more apt to follow you, because it's like, oh, you get what I'm going through because you've been here before. I feel very similarly when it comes to fitness trainers or, people in athletic communities who have been very, very dangerously obese before and have made it out and made it into a healthy weight range. I'm a little bit more apt to follow you because you make it seem attainable. Christ makes righteousness seem attainable because he had to be on this earth to do it. And the same I feel for Emilia. Not that people are trying to, walk in her footsteps or become the queen of hell, but I'm a little bit, if I were a demon in hell, I would be a little bit more apt to follow you and to listen to your rule, because I know that you're not doing it all willy-nilly and you're just not slinging curses just for the heck of it, just because you can. I know that you have some sort of element to you that includes understanding and empathy, and all of the things that I myself, as a demon or as a even a human in the underworld like Anir, all those things that I would look for someone to consider of my experience. So yeah, fully agree with all of y'all on that. And with that, I yield. So, ladies, we finally finished this book. I mean, I'm just so glad that we're done. Cam is going to get back to us with our spinning of the wheel to see what we will be reading next month. But do you have any final thoughts or remarks on this here book or the series as a whole? Either one. Now would be your time. Speak now.
I think overall it was a good series. Frustrated with the characters, but ultimately an author wants you to have an emotional reaction to a character, and she definitely delivers with this. You definitely have an emotional reaction to these characters. It's hard not to. But in retrospect, I think this could have been 2 books instead of 3. And that's really my only comment, is there was a lot of stuff that was mainly in the second book and not so much in this last one that were superfluous to needs. And I think, they could have taken a little bit out of this book and a little bit out of the second book and mushed them together and made them a nice, decent book, or even made the first book a little bit thicker, like gone all the way through the Sin Corridor in the first book, and then, taken out all the superfluous stuff that wasn't needed in the last 2 books and made it into one. They would have both been a little larger, that they would have been more encapsulating and probably more productive in certain aspects. And not saying it's necessarily a failing, but this was overall a very good story. I really enjoyed the overallness once I got through the irritation of the first book. But yeah, I think this could have been easily 2 books. And that's really my only critique of it, is that it really didn't necessarily need to be 3.
Mom, what say ye?
I would agree in that it could have been 2 books. I will say one of the things I enjoyed outside of the characters, I enjoyed the family dynamic here. It shows multiple levels of family dynamics. In the first book, it showed a stable, secure family with 2 kids and a grandparent, and that's a good family dynamic. It showed how people deal with grief. I mean, you had a lot of different elements here. You saw, and then you had the not so much heaven and hell, but the 7 circles of sin, which is angelic demonic concept that you dwelled into, which gives you another thing to think about. And even in that, there is a family dynamic. So you got to see what functional and dysfunctional looks like on different levels. You got to see friendships and romantic relationships play out in different levels. You got to deal with spirituality in a different way. Excuse me. So I like that you could connect on some level in this book, whether or not you were spiritual, non-denominational, atheist. You were able to connect in one way or another, whether it was just from the family connection, an emotional connection, a relational connection. There was some way you could constantly connect with this book, and that was the one thing I liked about it. She was able to tie all those human aspects, or those relational, situational things into this book. Again, total agreement. She could have took out some of the fluff pieces, the very overly descriptive things that I enjoyed. Like you say, toward the last book, it took on a lot of extra unnecessary because we pretty much know the dynamics of how she feels and relates and expresses, I should say, their intimate relations. So I felt like we didn't need to have so many of those toward the last book, because to me that's what we talking about, the fluff pieces. But yeah, I get that we newlyweds and have relation. That's another relational thing. We could have just said, as newlyweds, we did what we did and been done, instead of having 45 pages of distinctive intimate descriptors. But yeah, overall, there were a lot of things that would anybody who picked this up would be able to relate to, and that was what I like. I really like the family dynamic because you can see different parts of your family in this, whether it was from listening to the princess, watching her Nona and her family, whether it was just the friendships that she had with Antonio, Domenico, so all of those different things combined, you saw so many different elements of how a person can connect and relate to this book. And that's what made it an enjoyable read for me. And with that, I yield.
Yes, ladies. So my takeaways from this book and this series as a whole are that, well, very similar to what you guys have said thus far, that family is everything. Food is a comfort in the midst of all the evil. They had so many recipes through all these books. Also, unchecked anger is not only a destruction to yourself, but to anyone and everything around you. So we are, encouraged as readers to manage our emotions in the ways that Wrath encouraged Amelia to do. My other takeaways are that, love conquers all in the end. And at the end of the day, people gonna be fucking. That's it.
Really? Really?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go with that. It's just the order in which you put that. I expected the love to be the last thing, but okay.
Well, that in essence, that is how it was presented to us. All of these actions were driven by love. And at the end of the day, somebody knocking the boots.
And let the church say amen. 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 Amen.
Yes. And on that note, we done. I'll see y'all next week when we get into our next book selection, whatever that is going to be, right here on the Family Plot, where every chapter digs deep. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.